Hey everyone, welcome to Screen This. Today we'll be recapping episode 4 of The Amazing Race Canada. Before I go on, I want to apologize to you, my fans, for not having a recap earlier. I was actually on vacation. But hey, look on the bright side. Now you get 2 recaps in one day. So Team Body Break was the first team to depart, and all teams were heading over to the Northwest Territories, more specifically Yellowknife. So when teams start to arrive at the airport, you see sisters Selena and Vanessa actually skip the entire line. They obviously asked the people that were in front of the line if they could budge in, and of course they didn't say no. This obviously got under the skin of a lot of teams, but it didn't really make a difference as the teams that were there, actually the majority of teams, made it on that 6 o'clock flight. I think it would be a different story if they got on and a team didn't. Then I'd be pissed. Once arriving in Yellowknife, teams would find their next clue at Bush Pilot's Monument. This is where they would hit a roadblock, the polar bear dip. One team from each team would have to jump into this icy hole located at the Great Slate. I don't know where some of these people learned to jump. Some of them were doing leaps of faith. You know when you have that one leg in the front and one leg at the back? Yeah, it made no sense. And some of them were jumping so close to the ladder that I honestly thought someone was going to break a leg. I laughed pretty hard when Corey jumped into the water and he got out so fast because it was so cold, but he forgot the clue. And that's not the only slip up for Corey on this leg of the race. So it was Dave's turn to jump into the icy hole, and Tim Sr. tells his son to actually just sneak ahead, attach the rope so he could jump ahead. But while Tim Jr. is pumping up the crowd and Dave's crying like a little cheerleader, the crowd isn't pleased with Tim, so they start to boo him, and he eventually takes off the rope and hands it off to Dave. After the roadblock, teams would have to drive to the airport and sign up for one of 3 flights. The first and the second flight allowed 2 teams to be on it, and the last flight would have 3 teams on it. Remember how I said Corey wasn't having a good race? Well, it gets worse now. By the time Jody and Corey arrived at the airport, they could have actually been on the second plane. But Corey decided to fill his name on the 3rd flight, just thinking that, since there's already a name on the 2nd flight, that he has to be on the 3rd flight. So with this mistake, Team Body Break actually gets to be on that 2nd flight, even though they arrived after Jody and Corey. Corey continues to make me laugh. This guy knows he made a mistake, decides to approach Team Body Break, and he says, oh, I helped you find the sign-up board. If it wasn't for us, you'd probably still be looking for it right now. So in exchange, can we have our original spot back? Bro, come on. This is a race. You made a mistake. Suck it up. And let's be honest here. Team Body Break would have found that sign-up board within a few minutes if it wasn't for Jody and Corey's help. I mean, they're smarter than the sisters. The sisters just blew past the sign-up board. I mean, complete tunnel vision. Once teams arrived in Carcross, they would come to a detour, supply run or gold rush. In supply run, teams would have to build a raft and paddle out to find the next clue. In gold rush, teams had to complete 3 activities. The first activity was to cut through a log with a saw. The second activity was to throw an axe at a target. And in the third activity, one team member would be blindfolded while carrying the other team member in a wheelbarrow trying to collect nuggets. Because the last leg was a non-elimination, the Tims obviously had to complete a speed bump. In this speed bump challenge, they had to recite 4 verses of a poem. Needless to say, there's not much to talk about here other than Tim Jr., botching it up a little bit, but they did it. When Vanessa and Selena got to the detour, they both agreed on that they should use their express pass, and so they did. Let's not forget, the hippies still have an express pass, but they decided not to use it because they are adventure tour guides. So, they're good at paddling. Here's the thing. When will people realize that just because it's your job or maybe something that you're really good at doesn't necessarily mean it's going to transition into this task that sort of uses those skills? I mean, sometimes the easiest decision isn't the easiest task. Once completing one of the challenges, teams would then ride an ATV to the Carcross Desert, where they would find the next pit stop. Jet and Dave were the first to arrive at the pit stop, and they won a trip to Cancun, Mexico. And the sisters continue to make me laugh. I mean, seriously, every leg that they are in, if they don't make me laugh, something's wrong. So the sisters decided to drop their bags because they were just so darn heavy before they made it to the pit stop. But once they arrived at the pit stop, John Montgomery said that he needed to be able to see those bags. So they had to run all the way back bring those bags just a little closer so John Montgomery could see them. Jody and Corey pulled it out and managed to beat the hippies to the pit stop. Therefore, the hippies, who had an express pass, were eliminated. But you know what? The hippies handled it 10 times better than John did. Come on, you guys remember John, right? That guy was such a sore loser. His goodbye speech infuriated me. I just wanted to knock him out. His girlfriend deserves so much better, and I hope they're still not together. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this recap of episode 4 of The Amazing Race Canada. Apologies for the late upload, everyone. But hey, guess what? Episode 5, right here, locked and loaded. Go ahead.